Hey guys, it's Travis Korner, Entertainment Director at Us Weekly, and you are in the Kardashian Corner. Now, we have huge news this week, but even huger news to me is my co-hosts are here. Hello, Brandy Robidoux.
Hey guys.
And we have Nicholas Gonzalez.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Good, because do you guys hear those bells? They are wedding bells, and Elvis is ringing them because it was in Las Vegas. Well, Kourtney Kardashian and Travis Barker are reportedly married. Yes, they were in Las Vegas for the Grammys, and you know what happens in Vegas? You can go to the Little White Wedding Chapel. So sources say that the wedding ceremony was in the middle of the night at a wedding chapel. They came in, Kourtney and Travis came in around 1:30 a.m. on Monday, just hours after he performed live at the Grammys. We're told the two didn't have them take any photos. They had a photographer on hand and security instead. And you know they had those Hulu Kardashian cameras with them. Now, TMZ is reporting that they had a marriage license and presented to the chapel's owner, who was also a witness. And we're told it was important for them to get an Elvis impersonator to officiate the wedding, so Elvis did pronounce them man and wife. If you're going to do it in Vegas, you might as well at least have Elvis marry you. Tell me, your well wishes for the couple, your fears for them. How do you guys feel about this wild news?
I don't know why I'm so not fearful for them at all. Like, I feel like their love really is so genuine. It warms my heart. And I think the fact that they don't need to put on this big over-the-top wedding that costs $1 million really speaks to the authenticity of their relationship.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was thinking we're going to get a huge TV blockbuster wedding, kind of like how most celebrities do, but for them to be kind of spontaneous. But the other thing to me that's also surprising is usually when you hear somebody getting married in Vegas, you skip the whole engagement part. It's just straight marriage. But we know there was a big engagement involved, so it doesn't seem as much of a shock to me. It just seems like, okay, well, that's the next logical step. But it is kind of cool. I think Brandy hits it on the nail with this, that the spontaneity of it just shows that there's a lot of love in there. And that's important, so obviously.
Yeah, the fact that they did it so quick wedding and they're so into each other. We even though they might make out a little too much, put their hands down each other's pants on red carpets, we know that they are so in love, and really it's just adorable. And I couldn't think of a more fitting, mini end to their romantic story. This is him performing on the Grammys, where he was so good with her, and Lenny Kravitz being on such a high. I was at the Grammys, and I will say that she was almost never not seated directly on his lap, just cuddling directly on his lap. They made out for a solid minute and a half once during the show. They were always kissing. So whatever you want to say about them, you cannot say that they are not the most in love and very sexually attracted to each other couple I think we've seen. Well, there is a huge development in Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson's relationship, to take a pivot, meaning of the grandparents. I don't know if you remember meeting the grandparents the first time, or it's just not as big as the parents. Is it even bigger than the parents? I don't know.
I feel like it's bigger.
Do you think it's bigger meeting the grandparents than the parents? Do you think it's more important to have their approval?
Kind of. Grandparents are just so special, and I think everyone a lot of people hold their grandparents in such a high regard because they're older, they're so sweet usually. I think when people meet my grandparents, it almost means more.
Yeah, well, Pete Davidson was in Staten Island, as he does, filming a movie which happened to be very close to where his grandparents live. Staten Island's not that big, so I sort of think you're always close to your grandparents there. But Kim and Pete Davidson reportedly paid them a visit when he was done filming for the day. It wasn't immediately clear if there were any other family members present, but we heard that they got along and it's getting more serious. And I think meeting the grandparents is a pretty big deal, but we're hearing it went well and they got that apparently very coveted seal of grandparent approval.
Very, very big deal. I imagine being his grandparents and him being like, yeah, so I'm dating this girl. Her name is Kim Kardashian. Like, I just can't imagine what that would be like for these Staten Island grandparents.
I'm more curious to know who's the bigger fan of Kim, like the grandparents or the mother at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they couldn't have, maybe they didn't even had never heard of a Kim Kardashian. You know what I mean?
Probably.
Very, very possible. Well, Kim Kardashian is making herself known to, lots of different ages and specs and sections of the fashion world because her new Skims ad is iconically throwbacky, I think I'm going to say is the term for it. She hired a bunch of former Victoria's Secret angels for this campaign. It is amazing. She has everybody from Alessandra Ambrosio, Tyra Banks, Heidi Klum, Candace Swanpool, my favorite. If I was into women, I would marry Candace Swanpool. She is so beautiful. And Kim Kardashian also appears in the campaign. And her caption was, I wasn't supposed to be in this Skims campaign, but I stopped by and jumped in because it was too iconic. I mean, Tyra Banks, everybody in this photo, and the fact that Victoria's Secret's been having a little rough. It's nice that Kim can come in and get these ladies some checks.
Yeah. I mean, talk about iconic. I feel like all my favorite icons were in that photo shoot, but it's nice to see because I think people over time were a little bit upset with Victoria's Secret because they had such intense body standards for their models. So seeing Kim take these same women for a line that has a large array of sizes is really nice to see.
It's a huge flex, I think. To be able to afford, I guess, a marketing campaign where you have all these ex supermodels that were massive when they were working for Victoria's Secret. And as you said, Victoria's Secret's image is taking a hit. And to kind of take these models, put it in your campaign, and also associate it with you as a model. It's interesting because, Kim is not the traditional Victoria's Secret model, her height or her proportions or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So for her to be associating okay,
just
these are the classics, and this is the new classic or whatever.
She's never going to make it to the VS runway.
Yeah. Look at her now.
It adds a little bit of inclusivity, because Victoria's Secret, obviously their whole thing was exclusive, this is our standard.
Please be skinny.
So now this
please
opens
be
up
white. Yeah.
Yeah. So now this opens I think the image for that.
Yeah, it was great to see Tyra Banks and Heidi Klum, who, once a supermodel, always a supermodel. They look so good, but it was really nice to see varying forms of body. And while there's not one wrinkle between all of them, different ages throughout the campaign. It was lovely to see. I hope we see more photos from this campaign, maybe a little different photo shoots, because just having them all in tan underwear was a little uninspiring, but I love the thought behind it.
Totally.
Right. Well, let's move on to a double date in the Kardashian world, but it starts with one Machine Gun Kelly. He was on Howard Stern. He told a hilarious anecdote about a double date that he and Megan Fox shared with Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson that really didn't go quite according to plan. Now, does it seem like there's a new celebrity supergroup forming? I do, because I can see Pete Davidson, MGK, Travis Barker, Megan Fox, Kourtney Kardashian, Kim Kardashian, and they could really all form a supergroup at this point, that they are so famous and so recognizable. But Machine Gun Kelly went on Howard Stern. He says, I actually have a big regret. We rented out a theater and me, Meg, Kim, and Pete went to see a movie. And I was vouching for this movie so hard. I was like, it's going to be the best movie you've ever seen. Needless to say, 10 minutes into the film, they discovered it was actually a mistake. And then the Machine Gun Kelly said, do you ever just have that moment when you're like, wow, we shouldn't be here? We were all laughing. I got very kiddish. Sometimes I get very kiddish sometimes when I'm excited. Despite the bad day, Machine Gun Kelly says he's so happy for Kim and Pete, adding that Pete will definitely be by his side for his wedding to Megan Fox. I love how much they love each other.
So sweet. I love that you called them like a super group, because I feel like they really are. Like I feel like people are just like all lumping them into the same friend group now. But it is cool that they have each other and can go on these double dates, even though that one wasn't particularly successful. I think it's really sweet that they've become such an integral part of each other's lives.
I'm curious to see what movie they saw.
Yeah,
what was the movie that MGK was so gung-ho about, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh no, I messed up? Was it Uncut Gems? They had like a rescreening of it, or was it
it was,
or was it the Morbius film that everyone's like panning now? I don't know. I'm curious to see what they were watching, and he's bearing the lead. Like, we need to know the movie.
Exactly. I want to know the movie so bad. I think Morbius, which is getting panned. Like, some people like it, some people don't. That's a really good guess. That they were all like, you know, even though we dress like we're from Hot Topic, we actually don't. We are not about this life. Let's get out of this vampire movie with Jared Leto. Well, hopefully we will have the answer to that, because I really am oddly interested in what it is, and hopefully we will work on getting that for you for next week. Thank you so much, Brandy. Thank you so much, Nick. Huge news in the Kardashian corner. Maybe we'll nickname it to the like Little White Chapel of Kardashians. Wow, that's terrible, but working title. And thank you guys again for watching, and we will be back next week with more news from in the Kardashian corner. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Yeah.